Hi folks, it's Mike Keneally at JamPlay.com, and today we're going to take a look at the intro to a song of mine called Dee N A from an album called Wood and Smoke. This was actually recorded on an acoustic guitar, but there's no reason not to play it on an electric, especially a lovely Telecaster like this one. And this is a finger-picked song in dropped D tuning, so the low E is down to D, and it involves a lot of hammers on, and a lot of syncopation within. It's all in 4/4, but is a triplet feel within the 4/4. So rhythmically, it's kind of tricky, and coordinating what notes you pick and what notes you hammer on, and all that kind of action that's the crux of this particular matter. But we'll just dive in. It starts with, I'll play it slowly, the first phrase. Again, that's in a 4/4 pulse. But it's got a triplety feel because it's just threes piling upon threes. So you're hitting the low D with your thumb, and then the open A with your index finger, and then hammering on the F there. And then you begin the sort of rhythmic lick, the hook of this whole thing, kind of. You're basically just hammering on from the open D to the G, or from the open G to the C, and continually returning to the F here. Ending with the open D at the end of it. The kind of trick of it is to get that to really roll, to just get that to flow. And you can really dig in when you pick those, put as much grease as you want on those. It sounds kind of good if you mute it a little bit even. The second half of the phrase, the turnaround, is a little bit different. You're hitting the D hammering onto the G twice in a row. And then hammering onto the G, and then the open G hammering onto the C twice in a row. Ending with the open G, but you're still hanging on to that F underneath. You get that whole tone dissonance, which is throughout my career. I keep returning to that. I love the idea of, because a whole tone dissonance is not too dissonant as compared to, which is kind of pretty dissonant, but if you do this, there's a rub, but it's a harmonically intriguing rub. It's not too ugly. One more time through, just a little bit slower. 1, 2, 3. Well, that's a good point. It doesn't start on the 1, by the way. It starts on 4. 1, 2, 3. Now, the next phase, end phrase, you're starting the same way with the open D followed by the open A, but in this instance you're hammering on to what looks like a C on your low string, but is in fact a B flat because you're tuned down a whole step. That is the same motion as the first phrase from the beginning, but in this instance, instead of hammering on from the open A, you're hitting the open A, and then in this instance you do have that half step dissonance that rubs throughout this whole section. but since you're not constantly banging away at, it doesn't necessarily come off as overly dissonant, just dissonant enough. Garlic, just the right amount of spice. So for the hammers on there, you're playing an open E, hammering onto an open A, hammering onto an E, and an open D, hammering onto an A. Got that? Then, once again, low D, A. And now you're playing what looks like a C sharp, but which is actually a B. That's all the upper action there is on the D string. And you keep returning to that low note. Then, so for the first two, you're hammering from an open D onto an A. And then afterwards, you're hammering onto from an open D to a G. For the tag at the very end, just the open D. So those two phrases together slowly. 1, 2, 3. Then you're back to the top again. Then after you've done that twice, you gotta, that's just a major triad, D, A, F sharp. So that's open A hammering onto D 2 times, and keep returning to that low F sharp. Looks like a G sharp. Use your index finger for this one. So after you've hammered onto the D twice, you hammer onto the E twice. Tag it with an open A at the end. Major third again. In this case, you're hammering onto the high F sharp rather than the low F sharp. And this is a pretty wide stretch here. Again, you've got that halftone dissonance. In this particular instance, there it is. In this instance, it doesn't bother me, and hopefully it wouldn't bother anyone else, because this is the major third, and this is the sus4. Again, in some contexts, you can do that half-step dissonance, and it sounds harmonic, and you can get away with it. If we were in the key of C, that would be nice too. If we were in the key of B flat, you start to have problems. And on the upper voicings here, you're hammering. And then this is a nice transition. It goes right back to the beginning again, and all you have to do is move your little finger down a half step. And then you're right back to the top of the song again. That's basically this whole intro. I'm going to play the whole thing for you slowly, okay? 1, 2, 3. to that ending section and you get back to this bit, instead of going to this, like you did the first time, you're just going to do that same phrase twice. Just ending with a major triad there. D, A, F sharp. So there you go. That's the intro to Dee N A from Wood and Smoke. A good finger-picking workout. Also good for integrating hammer-ons into your finger-picking, and just a general syncopated approach. And kind of, I sort of think of your hands as a band in this instance, because it's percussive. Get the engine stoked and get your hands working together in a nice unified way. It's really fun to play too. So hope you dig it. See you next time.